The illegal trial of George Floyd murderer Derek Chauvin. We will update you on what's going on. A lot happening with that. Leftist $25 an hour minimum wage. Well, talk about stating the obvious. It would be a total job killer. And sadly, we now treat animals like children. And here's the sad part, we treat children like animals. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. It's Thursday. It's a Thursday morning. Good morning. Great to have you along for our little ride here into oblivion. We got a lot going on. We're going to cover all that and a whole lot more coming up on this morning's show. Happy Thursday. We're live on Rumble and YouTube. Please give us a follow and a subscribe on both of those channels. We appreciate it a lot. All right. I haven't seen such an absolute recklessly steered case since the McMartin family got sent to prison based on emotion and politics instead of logic, reason, and evidence. Bam, right into it. Now, finally, a Minnesota judge is going to mete out, hopefully, a little justice in the case of Derek Chauvin, the cop who allegedly purposely killed George Floyd. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin says the charges against him were illegal and his trial was a fraud. And the now imprisoned cop and his lawyer are calling for that verdict to be thrown out because of civil rights violations so severe that the trial itself became a 1-year-long due process violation. Minnesota, through a basket case, may have one judge left who knows what justice is supposed to look like. Chauvin used a knee to hold to keep a resisting George Floyd on the ground while waiting for backup and an ambulance, was found guilty of murdering the drugged-out fentanyl user who had just taken a deadly overdose to hide the drugs from the Minneapolis PD. The cops were called because Floyd, his previous girlfriend, and their drug dealer were passing fake $20 bills at a small store. The drug dealer, who could have been an exonerating witness for Chauvin, was allowed not to testify. What were the jurisprudence horribles so numerous in this case that a former cop is demanding his guilty plea be tossed? The list is long. No change of venue, jury pressure and bias, man lied to get on the jury, pre-trial publicity in Minneapolis, defense witness intimidation, prosecutorial misconduct, Floyd's drug dealer not allowed to testify, bad jury instructions. The judge allowed a parade of witnesses who were allowed to wail and cry on the stand. The jury should have been sequestered to avoid any pretrial publicity, and the circus outside the court, which was insane. State had 20 plus lawyers on this to Chauvin's one. Completely overcharged the case. Absolutely ridiculous. A lot of things have been revealed during the nearly 2-week-long trial of Chauvin, and we're betting you probably didn't know most of them. Here's just a few examples. Chauvin did not have his knee on Floyd's neck. Midway through the second week of testimony, defense attorney Eric Nelson showed video from police body-worn cameras of a different angle than the one you all saw on the news. And that showed that Chauvin's knee was on Floyd's shoulder and his upper back, not on his neck. Prosecutors immediately began changing their verbiage from neck to neck area. Possible Chauvin's knee slipped onto Noah Floyd's neck at some point before police could load and scoot him up for medical help. But a different angle showed his knee was on Floyd's shoulder blade. But wait, didn't the police chief testify this was against police protocol? Yep. Was this an accurate depiction of what police can do? Nope. And the prosecution's own use of force expert testified to that. The cops did not use as much force as they could have. The prosecution's use of force expert testified in cross-examination by Chauvin's attorney that police could have used their tasers on Floyd, but chose not to, since by that time the knee on his shoulder was working. We still do not know specifically how George Floyd died. The prosecutors have alluded throughout their case to apparent asphyxia as the culprit. They're attempting to lead jurors to conclude that the only way asphyxia would have occurred is if Derek Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck area, which we now know was the shoulder and back, not the neck per se. We know Floyd had a deadly cocktail of drugs in his system. It is believed that same cocktail of meth and fentanyl are exactly what sent Floyd to the hospital, where he nearly died only 2 months before. Fentanyl causes asphyxia. By the way, I'm going to get locked all over YouTube for using these words. I don't care. The drugs were found in the SUV and the cop car. Pills found in the Mercedes SUV and the police squad car, where Floyd had been for a brief time, had meth and fentanyl in them, which he was believed to have eaten to try and hide the evidence from the cops. Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney Ross, testified that Floyd, as she called him, was living with friends from Salvation Army Harbor Lights Shelter, where the 6'4", 220-pound man served as a security officer. She said he was mostly sad because most of his friends had lost their job due to pandemic shutdowns. She testified he was using drugs again after a short time of being sober. Floyd was with his drug dealer when the cops came. Floyd was sitting in a Mercedes SUV with a reputed drug dealer. Testimony shows Morris Hall first tried to use the fake $20 bills at a local store, and when that didn't work, they sent Floyd inside to try and use them. It is entirely possible that Hall urged Floyd to eat the drugs to hide the evidence, which would have sent the dealer to a much longer jail sentence. Indeed, audio from the police video was introduced into court that seems to show Floyd telling the cops, "I ate too much drugs." Prosecutors believe he said to police, "I ain't doing no drugs." Floyd's drug dealer took the fifth. Morris Hall's attorney announced to the Chauvin judge he would not testify. Hall invoked his Fifth Amendment rights because it's entirely possible he could have been found to have given Floyd that lethal dose of fentanyl. Derek Chauvin weighed 140 pounds, Floyd 223. Chauvin and his partner came to back up two other cops who had been tussling with Floyd, trying to get him in the back of their squad car. Priority 1 call for non-compliant, suspected drug addicted perpetrator who had just fought with the cops. They encountered Floyd. Girlfriend testified he worked out every day with weights, played sports. Chauvin, 140 pounds, 5'9", compared to Floyd's 223 pounds and 6'4" frame. Honestly, the crowd around this incident could very well have contributed to Floyd's death. Testimony in cross-examination in prosecution's medical care training expert, Nicole McKenzie, said that the hostile crowd, could have contributed to Floyd's death. How? Well, because of the hostility, the threats, and the possibility that the crowd could get violent, the Minneapolis police officers had to load and scoot Floyd to get to a safe area where they could meet paramedics and treat him. Paramedics arrived at the previous location and had to find out where Floyd had been moved to, which burned up some critical 11 minutes. Well, now the question is, will a jury of Minneapolis residents who have lived through the George Floyd riots and the looting see any doubt created in a case that Chelsea Handler says is unnecessary and pathetic because there is a video of Derek Chauvin killing him? Really? Is there? No, there is not. We'll see what happens with this Minneapolis judge. It's up in the air. It's going to really depend a lot on the politics, as it did in the beginning. Elon Musk himself, a few hours ago, posted this on X. Derek Chauvin was unjustly convicted of murder, therefore he should be freed. The facts show he was not the cause of death, nor did he at any time intend for a death to occur. Whatever else he may be, he is not a murderer. That is the truth. Now, yes, Elon Musk is not a part of this case. He only knows what's in the papers and on the news. He knows stories like the one I just brought you. But he has exactly the same feeling that I've got about this thing. Derek Chauvin needs to be freed immediately. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Danny. Great to have you all along for the ride. Round River Docks. Heard about them? Ooh. They are suggesting that the FBI misclassified information to hide the Biden family crimes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you thought this was over. Please. It now appears that the FBI had multiple ways of disappearing evidence, both evidence that inculpated the Bidens and exculpated Trump. Documents that were obtained by Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, included an anomaly in the classification coding, one that indicates FBI agents intentionally misclassified information to conceal evidence of the Biden's family corruption. Monday of this week, just a few days ago, Grassley highlighted this discovery in a letter he wrote to Attorney General Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, and the Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, about misconduct he's uncovered related to Operation Round River. Now, Round River was the name of the investigation run out of FBI headquarters in conjunction with the Foreign Influence Task Force, which is an investigation that whistleblowers claim sought to improperly discredit negative Hunter Biden info as disinformation and caused investigative activities to cease. Stop. Grassley revealed that FITF used the investigation to seek out CHS holdings at FBI field offices across the country relating to the Biden family and falsely discredit them as foreign disinformation. At one point, the FBI maintained over 40 confidential human sources, CHS, that provided criminal information relating to Joe Biden, James Biden, and Hunter Biden. Well, isn't that nice? Sources familiar with Round River said the investigation sought to scuttle any investigation leads into the Biden family, all of their corruption, and all by discrediting it as Russian disinformation. It's all right there in the Round River paperwork if you want to follow along. The good old FBI, not the current FBI. This is the FBI under Comey and the scumballs that were a part of all that back then. Unbelievable. How would you like to make $25 an hour? Maybe for, I don't know, scooping up some French fries at Mickey D's? Yeah. Well, in the no kidding department, an economist is warning that the leftists' $25 an hour minimum wage would be a total job killer. Like I said, way back in 1964, a time when most of you were not alive, Ronald Reagan said, "The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so." Even today, Mr. Reagan could not possibly have been more right. One of the many things our little liberal friends are dangerously ignorant about, sadly, is economics. And if it's not the belief that the country can be taxed into prosperity, it is the notion that a $20 an hour or more minimum wage will help working people. An economist is now warning about just how destructive high dollar minimum wages would be to this country's economy. Take a look at this. Thanks to years of high inflation, Illinois has a $15 an hour minimum wage. Holy crap. The same buying power now as $11.36 did in February of 2019. Rebecca Paxton is an economist, a research director with a conservative organization called Employment Policies Institute, EPI. Leftist members of Congress now pushing for a $25 an hour minimum wage to be set by 2031. And there is the threat of an influx of Democrat socialists to Congress in 2027. She's sounding the alarm that this federal wage mandate of that kind of an amount, $25 or more an hour, would be an absolute job killer. She said, when you're talking about doubling or tripling the minimum wage, you're talking about doubling and tripling labor costs for businesses in those areas. There may be some businesses that are trying to absorb that through higher prices, but ultimately, what we know from economists, business owners, workers themselves is that it doesn't always work. In a lot of ways, it means business owners are going to have to slash jobs, reduce the number of hours that people are able to work. And their report shows that that is going to cost almost 5 million jobs across the country. Oh, yeah. Those 5 million jobs, that includes 1.2 million tipped employees, mainly restaurant, hospitality industries. And Paxton goes on to say that Sunbelt states, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, would be the hardest hit states. A lot of the fast growing counties in the nation are in these states. That trend would even expand to places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, where researchers have said it would more than triple the current minimum wage. Insane. In 2026, this year, there are approximately 282 Democratic Socialists of America endorsed candidates running for office. Now, it's pretty a safe bet to say that most of them are going to support this $25 an hour minimum wage bullshit. Not all of them will win, but if enough of them make it to Congress, and we are if enough of them, rather, are economically illiterate, which most of them are, and they pass this Living Wage for All Act, which idiot Murphy in Connecticut, the Democrat senator, sponsored, introduced. We're in serious. It doesn't take more than an economics 101 class to understand that raising costs for small businesses forces them to lay off people. Once again, bad Democrat policies destroying the very people they say they want to help. No surprise there. Unbelievable. All right, it's time for a big, hot, steaming cup of blackout coffee. Bow! Blackout Coffee, the best in America. An American company that works with local co-ops and American farmers to grow these absolutely premium beans. They grind them and roast them only after you place your order. Yes, you can get whole beans or ground. And they've got all these great roasts in all different, they're always big, bold, full-flavored coffees, but never, ever, ever bitter. A fantastic range of flavored coffees, cold brew, coffee pods they do, of course. You've just got to use our link down in our description down there. Just pull that down and you will see the Blackout Coffee link. Use the code J20 if you're a first-time customer. You'll get 20% off your order. And they always have great deals going on over there at Blackout Coffee. So please do check them out. Pick up a bag, try it. I'm sure you'll be back for more because it is just the best. Thank you, John Santos and the gang over at Blackout Coffee. All right. Bassett is cracking down on tax credits for illegal aliens. I'm sorry. Illegal aliens are getting tax credits? What? Sometimes you read about a crackdown on benefits that illegal aliens get, and you think to yourself, how do they get them in the first place? I thought they were here illegally. Which is what first occurred to me when I read this story about refundable tax credits. But the good news is that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent are now nipping them in the bud and aiming to save American citizens about $3 billion. But the question still stands, why the hell were illegals getting tax credits in the first place? The proposed move aimed at four benefits which should be reserved for Americans, you think? Treasury Department and IRS unveiled new rules yesterday, to tighten the requirements for the adoption, child, American Opportunity, and earned income tax credits so that only U.S. citizens, nationals, and qualified aliens can get them. The four tax credits named are refundable, which means people with a larger credit than the taxes they owe get a refund, as normal. On Treasury's official website, the IRS head said in a statement titled Treasury IRS Proposed Rules to Protect Refundable Tax Credits for Abuse by Illegal Aliens, it said the credits were intended to help American families, not those here illegally. Duh. How are we even in this situation where they get that? Approximately, you're going to love this, 1 million illegals are going to wind up being affected by this and therefore become ineligible to take advantage of the tax credits, which they should have been ineligible to take advantage of from the very damn beginning. At least we've plugged the hole. But I mean, seriously. Come on. Are you nuts? It's insane. Absolutely insane. Speaking of which, because we do insane on this show a lot, only in Portland, here we go. A burglar breaks into a business and then sues the owner for $10 million. Yeah, it's one of those. A homeless man broke into a Portland granite shop before dawn, grabbed the tools he was planning to steal, and then wound up getting shot by the owner who was sleeping in the back room. And now the homeless man is suing the owner for $10 million. And a Multnomah County jury is being asked to take the homeless man's side. The civil trial against James Grant and Touchstone Granite and Marble. It began August 10th. Kenneth Voiles wants $5 million in compensatory damages and another $5 million in punitive damages. His complaint accuses Grant of battery, assault, negligent, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. But, I'm laughing, but this is Portland. It's entirely possible this scumbag will win. It also claims the company's liable because Grant was securing the business when he fired. About 5:30 in the morning, March 6, 2023, Voiles pushed through the shop's outer gate, pried plywood off a garage door, cut through metal bars, and squeezed inside. He told jurors he was homeless and cold and hungry, and he also admitted he was there to steal things. Grant, who at the time was 70, was asleep in the back room. He woke up, walked into the showroom. Surveillance cameras caught the first confrontation. Grant threw up a cup of urine in Voiles' face and lobbed tiles at him as he ran for the garage. The cameras did not catch what came next, but by Voila's account, he grabbed the bolt cutters to break a padlock on the garage door and get out. Grant came back with a handgun and fired without warning. Voiles says Grant told him he was going to die. 3 rounds hit him, the arm and torso. He had a collapsed lung, shattered bones, and required vascular surgery. Well, you know what, dude? You break into a business, you do takes your chances. Grant's an Army veteran, concealed carry permit, told jurors he's put more than 10,000 rounds downrange at shooting ranges. He knows how to use the gun. He testified he'd reported break-ins for some 30 years. Portland police never once came to investigate. They just took a report over the phone, and they showed up after the shooting. Oh, yeah. They didn't charge Grant. And Voiles pleaded no contest, convicted of first-degree burglary and menacing. You know, the fact that you've already pleaded no contest to the burglary and the menacing should be enough. Why did a judge even allow this case to proceed? Oh, wait, Portland, I forgot. No word yet, but like I said, Portland. So good luck with that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I keep ending these stories with that word, but that's kind of what it is. And you think I'm done? Oh, I'm not. A Muslim illegal alien who killed his roommate escaped the country after Virginia officials released him from custody. Abdullahi Toshpalozada, reportedly found covered in blood from head to toe after fatally stabbing his roommate, Mohammed Hemachin, at their Virginia home back in 2019. Toshpalozada even reportedly told the police he was guilty. 7 years later, and Toshpalozada, an illegal immigrant from Tajikistan. Tajikistan? What the hell is that? Anyway, he's back home in his own country after Virginia officials, get this, actually helped him get a passport and repeatedly allowed him to leave a state medical hospital without supervision, according to court records. The state of Virginia did that. This man admitted to killing his roommate. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity. His attorney argued he was fixated on religious topics and behaving illogically. Psychologist Sahir Manfred evaluated him, giving the intertwining of Islam with his delusions, and reportedly recommended that he not be found guilty. And a second psychologist, obtained by the prosecutors, reportedly agreed. This judgment entered in 2022 with the concurrence of Fairfax County Attorney Steve Descano, Democrat, backed by George Soros, by the way. And 2 years later, Descano's office worked with Toshpalozada. His lawyers requested a judge give the murderer permission for an escorted visit to the Tajikistan embassy in Washington to get a passport, which they agreed, and he went to the embassy and got a passport. They let him leave the hospital on a 48-hour unsupervised pass, and guess what he did? He got on a plane in Washington Dulles International, traveled to Istanbul, Turkey, and thereafter made his way to Dushanbe, Tajikistan, which is where he is right now. Again, sorry, I gotta say it. Unbelievable. This world, just could you stop? Because I'm thinking I kind of want to get off. Just stop rotating for a moment. I'll fly away, and y'all can go on with your little thing you're doing here. Unbelievable. All right. Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative network for your cell phone service, and you ought to be signed up right now.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
PatriotMobile.com/J. That is the link to use. It's in our description down below on both Rumble and YouTube, by the way. Get signed up. Your first month is free. It's on me. Nothing changes. You keep your phone number. Their customer service folks are great help. They're there to put you into a plan that fits your budget. And if you sign up using our link or use the code JAY, you will get your first month free. I'm paying your bill for the first month. It's on me. PatriotMobile.com/J. I do not want to read this story, but I'm going to. Because with God in the Imago Dei kicked to the curb, it's a Peter Singer world where babies are less than human, and animals basically get promoted to take their place. It is shocking, but an obvious reality that an unborn baby in America might be better off in some cases being a puppy. A lot of recent news stories, like the one we brought to you about McKenna West's struggle to save baby Gabriel from an execution. His biological parents attempt to force on him. Massachusetts giddily unleashing abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, merely serving to underline that reality. The more we treat animals like children, the more we treat children like animals, which is disgusting and frankly blasphemous. Now, the good news is I brought to the baby Gabriel story. Now her name is Rumi. And you'll be happy to know that she is now recuperating under the loving care of parents and the heroic team of doctors, nurses, and medical staff, according to the parents' attorney. Of course, the only reason this case is that his surrogate mother refused the parents' commands to abort him, and a court ordered them to get their baby a life-saving heart surgery. So the definition of loving here is complicated to say the least. But what's not complicated at all is that Nashin Gilkar and Omar Ahmed treated their son as something less than human once they found out that he was less healthy than they expected. At that point, the baby acquisition process was kind of like shopping for a golden doodle. The one we picked out didn't pass the vet checkout. Oh, that's concerning. Well, did you have any other males left with that cool color pattern? Only in the pet shopping process, the consumer just moves on instead of pressuring the pet store to kill the pooch instead of giving it up for somebody else to adopt. Now, it would be fabulous if pet shopping approach were limited to Gilkar and Ahmed. That is not the case. That's why there are a whole bunch of reasons worthy of true crime horror stories that involve biological parents or mere baby buyers forcing surrogates to abort unborn babies or just getting the abortion themselves, as is the case with Kate Deneen and Alex Lawton, poster parents for the Massachusetts Abortion Until Birth Bill. Their unborn son suffered a stroke. The state's 24-week abortion ban meant they had to travel to Maryland to have their baby's life ended. After all, if the baby had survived birth, it would mean years of pain and suffering, and children, like pets, aren't supposed to be unhealthy. That's the thinking. Boston Globe said, "It's something no one should ever have to go through," which meant traveling to obtain life-ending services, not having your parents pay someone to kill you. But thanks to Democrats' new unlimited abortion laws, that travel will not be necessary anymore, which brought a lot of joy to a group of abortion-eager individuals. Further proof of how getting a baby increasingly mirrors getting a pet, look at the near billion-dollar industry devoted to sifting through tiny humans to see which one is worth having. It's the commodification of tiny humans with a hyper-consumeristic touch, customizability on steroids to the point of being absolute parody, which is why Paris Hilton created and sidelined, that is, doomed to destruction, 20 tiny male lives in her effort to get a baby with the right sex. Barry DeWitt Barlow, one of the UK's first gay fathers, encapsulated the whole mindset. Said, "Nobody wants an ugly kid." Authorities charged DeWitt Barlow with multiple sex crimes earlier this year, by the way. Prospective pet owners with multiple sex crimes have a preferred breed, the size, a color, an ancestry, so far and so forth. The priority, the picture-perfect health for their new pet. And now apparently would-be parents are doing exactly the same thing. More generally, there's the reality of having kids is increasingly seen as optional, to be had if and when the stars align and the gamut of criteria are met, not a part of the good life, which it should be. Gen Z men and women rank having kids way behind a number of other priorities. Working a fulfilling job, having enough money to do the things you want to do. All those are prioritized above having children. Birth rates plummeting. We in a heap of trouble, folks. A heap of trouble. All right, get the barf bags ready because you're going to hear a lot about this. I don't want to, I will ignore it. But since it's just breaking, I'm bringing it to you so you can know about it and then forget about it. Harry and Meghan are moving back to the UK. And guess who's to blame? Trump? Oh, man. I do not follow this royalty crap. I don't care about this royalty crap. But people talk about it, so I will bring it to you, and then you'll never hear about it again. In an exclusive, People magazine has breathlessly reported the news that the erstwhile woke and broke royals, known as Harry and Meghan, have decided to forsake their worldwide privacy tour and go back to the UK. I know, stop yawning. Charles is sick. Maybe the couple's finally getting over themselves and doing something for someone else for a change. Doubt it. But the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are relocating with Prince Archie, 7 years old, and Princess Lilibert, 5, to the UK for an extended period beginning this month. People understand the magazine, with the children are set to begin school in the UK in September. Now, I can't decide if they're leaving the US because they're already relatively broke or because they've decided there's, I don't know, something more than their privacy in Montecito. We don't have to worry about the Crown Ginger and his Yoko. They'll be fine, as it turns out. Couple's going to maintain their home in California and their vacation property in Portugal while establishing a private non-royal home base in Britain, according to the entertainment magazine. Canceled podcasts, Netflix shows bring in the dough, don't they? Oh, yeah. You don't have to worry about Meghan selling enough blackberry spread to sell to the masses. They're fine. They'll be just fine. Kids will be put in the best schools in Britain. The couple continues to do what they've always done, which is basically nothing. Not that I wish King Charles any harm, but the discussion about his mysterious cancer diagnosis has been getting more fraught all the time. Meghan and Harry recently spent some time with the King in the UK, where they presumably set the stage for their long wished, we want to be treated as royals, but we don't want to work arrangement. Charles found out just a few days ago, apparently. Yeah, sure, that's according to People magazine. People further reported that Charles was clear that there would be no change to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex status as private individuals and non-working members of the royal family, in keeping with the wishes they expressed and the agreement reached when they stepped back from their royal duties. Those close to the Sussexes believe they have successfully executed the half in, half out model that Harry and Meghan proposed to the royal family back in 2019, which immediately the royals spiked. And like most absolutely self absorbed brats, they left behind a huge mess when they left. Good riddance. We can only wish they would have taken Queen Camilla with them, which would have served them right. The couple, or whoever is leaking this undoubtedly handsomely paid for scoop for the couple, say they're looking forward to continuing to work on the charities that you likely have never heard of, including Scotty's Little Soldiers and Well Child, as well as the Invictus community, while Megan continues leading her lifestyle company as ever and pursuing future projects. And a big gag to Megan and Harry. Now, piss off. We don't want to hear from you anymore. I promise that is the last you will hear about this idiot couple. Unbelievable. All right, that's it. We're done. Thank you for popping by. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday edition of the Jay Sheldon Show. We'll see you then.